Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back starting our path to the Mogami. And that can only mean one thing. If this is the first episode, it means we're on the Tier 3 Kuma. So, let's take a look at her. We are running Isiroko Yamamoto. We have Nikolai Kuznetsov and Charles Madden as our inspirations. We have Beyond Range, Igniter, Velocious, Fixated, and Fully Packed as our skills. Let's look at our equipment. We're running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We have fully upgraded the ship. Loadout includes sonar and planes. Nothing crazy there. We're not running any boosters. We are running Community Contributor Flag and the Rust Bucket Camo. Okay. For stats, we have 24,200 hit points. No torpedo protection. Artillery, we have 140mm third-year types. You have 7 of those that reach out 14.5 kilometers with this build and reload in just 5.8 seconds. The 180-degree turn time is 20.2 seconds. HE shell maximum damage is 2,400, a 13% chance of setting fires. And the AP shell maximum damage is 2,700. Torpedoes, you have 533mm double torpedoes. You have 4 of those, or 8 of those total, 4 per side of the ship. They reload in just 42 seconds, and they reach out to 7 kilometers. They have a maximum damage of 10,833 with a torpedo detectability by sea of 1.2 kilometers. The speed of the torps, pretty slow, 57 knots. AA defense, you have 2 13mm Type 93s, 5 damage per second, reaching out to 1.2 kilometers. And then you have the 25mm Type 96 Mod 1s that reach out to 3.1 kilometers, do 30 damage per second, and you have 12 of them. Maneuverability, maximum speed is 35.9 knots with this build. Turning circle radius is 640 meters, and the rudder shift time is 5.4 seconds. Concealment, detectability by sea is 9.4 kilometers, detectability by air is 5.9 kilometers, guaranteed is always 2, and the detectability while firing in smoke is fantastic at 4.2 kilometers. Armor, you don't really have any armor per se, so let's get into it. 15 millimeters, or 10 millimeters, sorry, at the front, so you can be overmatched by pretty much everything. Anything 140 millimeters and above, basically, 143 millimeters and above. That's an easy one to do because you take 10 times 14.3, you get 143. So, anything 143 millimeters and above can overmatch this ship, meaning you don't really want to get into a fight with too much because they can go straight through your bow and hurt you. However, do not sleep on this ship because it does have fast firing guns and it is a light cruiser, meaning you have the ability to change ammo types very quickly and take advantage of people's stupid mistakes. And at this tier, people make a lot of stupid mistakes, as we're going to showcase in this video. So let's look at the Citadel. So you have a large Citadel located center of the ship. It doesn't extend to the front guns or the rear guns, which is something that, is pretty unusual for something that's not a destroyer, even though destroyers don't really have Citadels. But this is more of a destroyer-esque Citadel location. It's center of the ship. So look for the smokestacks, look for the catapult fighter, aim between those, and you will be Citadeling the crap out of this thing. Because it goes all the way to the freaking deck. Like, this is a ridiculously high Citadel. You're going to get Citadeled if you go too much in one direction. So keep that in mind. Overview. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. Compromising. Higher caliber AP shells may overpen the armor, but may still arm depending on shell velocity. Let's be real. They're going to Citadel you if you give them the chance. This thing, you cannot count on overpins. You can try, but it's going to probably end in not your favor. The Kuma, a multi-purpose light cruiser that could serve as a scout and a destroyer leader. Compared with preceding class, Kuma had a greater displacement, reinforced weaponry, and increased speed. She retained a weak AA defense that was typical of earlier period Japanese cruisers, or pretty much any early period anything, because, I mean, planes were just coming around at that time. So keep that in mind. Anyway, she entered service in 1920, and there were 5 of them in the series. Now let's take a look at it. We do have the Rust Bucket camo one, because I wanted that extra incoming fire dispersion, plus the ability to sneak up on people, because at this low tier, like, it is absolutely funny to come around the corner in a light cruiser and catch broadside cruisers, broadside battleships, and just absolutely shred them. So, with that being said, look at this ship. It's a typical, it's old school 3-stacker. You know it's got some speed to it. Like, it is straight up just, you know, classy. It's classy. It's not the best looking ship in the world. Not bad, but definitely not the best. So, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Neighbors, and we are in the Kuma. Now, low-tier cruisers, you can afford to be extremely aggressive. You still have to pay attention to battleships and where they're located in relation to you and whether or not they're looking at you. But, for the most part, at low tiers, you can just absolutely raffle stomp everybody in your path in a light cruiser. Because your fast fire rate, because of the fact that every one of the low tier cruisers have torpedoes, there really is a lot of fun to be had at these low tiers, and you're going to see some of that in this one. Now, obviously, with battleships out there at low tiers, battleships rule the ocean at low tiers, because the destroyers that you're up against at low tiers, they don't have the greatest concealment. Some of them do. But for the most part, they don't. They don't have the long, super long-range torpedoes, so they got to get close. So that means they're more apt to make mistakes and get caught, and that means that you're more likely to get rid of them. So destroyers aren't the biggest threat at the low tiers, even though the Japanese destroyers are still very, very good, especially a kamikaze or a minikaze because of their fast reloading torpedoes. Even though minikaze's torpedoes don't hit as hard. But they just are able to dump so many torpedoes out, and then they reload them in like 35 seconds. But we're going to push up here in the Kuma and show just how nasty this thing can be. And this is any light cruiser. This is not specific to this cruiser. This cruiser is nothing special, just like a lot of the low-tier cruisers are. Like, we're going to showcase just how nasty knowing what you can get away with, knowing what you're doing, can be at low tiers. And this is just a textbook raffle stomp, or a textbook what do you call it, seal clubbing. It's not that we're in an amazing ship. The Kuma's not particularly amazing, not anything particularly stand out about it other than the fact that it is pretty quick. But other than that, I mean, it's really not that great. I mean, we've got good concealment, so there's that. But we are detected by the planes. We're going to go ahead and put up a fighter to help get rid of some of these planes, to discourage the carrier from coming back after us, hopefully. But you can see he dropped his torpedoes on the battleship. We have shot down one of the planes, and we're going to keep pushing up. Now, you can see I'm paying attention. We've got a Phoenix about to come around the corner to my right. And so I've got armor piercing loaded, and I'm waiting for it. And initially, he comes in and he's bow in, which is perfect, because that means I'm not going to really be able to do a whole lot to him. But we're going to launch torpedoes at him, just in case. And then he turns and goes broadside. And this is not what you want to do at these low tiers, or in any tier, because broadside to a freaking light cruiser that knows what he's doing is just going to be Citadel City for that light cruiser. And you can see I am stacking them up, and we get 3 Citadels once I get my aim down on that last one. And then you can see some of the maneuverability of the ship as we are able to easily turn and avoid running aground and set ourselves up for a fight with the Kotovsky. Now, the Kotovsky, if I remember correctly, is the new Russian heavy cruiser line, right? It's tier 4, I believe. So we've got to pay attention to this. It's not a fight that we necessarily want, because he should be able to overmatch us. So we are going to be sitting mostly broadside to him. And he's firing high explosive at us. We get 2 Citadels on him there. We're going to try to adjust our aim, see if we can't stack these up. Now, one of the bonuses that you get for the Japanese cruiser line is that they have destroyer dispersion, unlike a lot of the other cruisers. So you get very, very good dispersion. We're able to dodge those torpedoes easily. And you can see I am going to try possibly to catch him again. I turn in to avoid. He's got his torpedoes. He made them pretty obvious there. But we're going to stop here. Why? Because there's a battleship on the other side of this island, and I don't want to fight him heads up. Now, Svetlana comes around the corner here. So far, we've been able to absolutely raffle stomp the people that have been in front of us. But the Svetlana comes out. We're going to have to try to avoid some of his shells. This is the light cruiser for the Russian. So he has a much faster fire rate, but he also has the ability to be citadel if he gives us an opportunity. He's not giving us a set opportunity, but we are going to go ahead and throw the torpedoes out there to try to catch this Kotovsky who's wanting to back around the corner. We are angled slightly, so if he goes for the citadel, he's likely to bounce, but he's actually shooting too far forward as we score a couple of citadels on him. The one downside of this thing is a citadel doesn't really hurt that bad. You've got to get a lot of citadels. We're already up to 10 for the game, and we only have 34,000 damage, so keep that in mind. But we back off. Kotovsky has started... Sorry. Kotovsky has started firing at our battleships, so we're going to try to push up and catch him around the other side of the corner. Now, this Kotovsky player is somebody who actually at least has some idea what he's doing. He's paying attention. He's dodging torpedoes that are obvious. Like, I'm not disguising these torpedoes. These torpedoes are fairly obvious. Now, you can see I'm sizing up the Ishizuki for torpedoes. He's too far away. These low tier Japanese torpedoes just don't have the range. I believe it's 7 kilometers tops. So, yeah, we don't have the range to reach out and touch him. But we are going to put ourselves in a position. Thank God this Ishizuki's firing HE at us, because if he'd have fired AP, we're probably dead right there. He destroys one of our torpedo tubes, but it's on the right side of the ship somehow, even though he shot at the left side of the ship. And so we're going to go ahead and dump torpedoes out in case this Kotovsky starts to come out. Now again, this just proves that this guy actually knows what he's doing, but at the same time, he is going to fire AP, and he is going to get a much better salvo out of this shot. But he is getting the help of spotting me by his plane, and I don't have the ability to spot him until I come around the corner far enough. Now, he gets a good shot, and then he gets another good shot, but he doesn't do as much damage the second time. And because he's so broadside, I'm able to start stacking up citadels on him. He's already low health. We're going to be able to avoid most of his damage there in this salvo because we turned out and then turned back out. And then we're going to line up the death salvo here because he just gives us too much angle. And somehow we managed to survive his dying breath salvo. But he knocks out our engine, and we don't get our damage control back yet. But you can see it's going to take me a little while before I realize we have our damage control. And there we go. We're going to go ahead and use that because I don't want to get shot at by the Ishizuki. And I'm kind of a sitting duck for the planes at the moment. So we're going to move back a little bit to try to get in a position to shoot at the Kuma. We only have 666 hit points and a dream. So, you know, that's not preferable. But we're going to try to hit the Kuma over the island. We're using auto-aim because we can't really see him. And unfortunately, this guy's just going to be maneuvering too much, and auto-aim is very bad when people actually start to maneuver. So you can see I keep aiming out and aiming back in, trying to see which direction he's going, and we're just not able to land any significant hits on the Kuma, and he's going to go down pretty quickly anyway. And then we're going to turn around and try to engage, but by the time we get there, the game's going to be over. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is just a showcase of pretty much any light cruiser at low tier, but the Kuma, not a bad light cruiser. Not the best, but not bad. Got good firing guns, got good agility, it's got solid AP if people are dumb enough to go broadside to you. You can make them pay for it. But the big thing for this thing is its speed and agility. And that's going to carry through the entire line because you're going to need that later on. Also, the accuracy of these guns is pretty solid too. You'd love to see it. Some of the cruisers that you play get like accuracy that'll troll you. Not so much on these. If you can aim your shots pretty well, you're gonna enjoy the Japanese cruisers because they pretty much hit where you are aiming. Now, obviously, you're gonna have some salvos that are a little wonky, but for the most part, you're gonna be okay. But overall, Tier 3, there isn't a whole lot to say about it. There's just not. It's one of those things where you're just not going to have a ridiculous amount of good opponents to worry about. You will run into the occasional one, like that Kotovsky, who actually was using armor piercing when he needed to. Almost got the kill on us, but in the end, we managed to take him down as well. But it just goes to show you, you don't need to be so afraid all the time, especially in cruisers at low tiers, battleships as well. Like, at low tiers, battleships roll the ocean, so I don't know why so many battleship players just refuse to push. I get it later on, because pushing up later gets to be really, really difficult, but at low tiers, there's really not a whole lot to be afraid of. But anyway, we're going to take a couple shots here, but this guy's going to eat some torps before our shells get there, unfortunately. But a 45,000 damage game as a bottom tier light cruiser, not too shabby, and that's without any torpedo hits. Like, those were all gun hits. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys are ready for the path to the Mogami here. We got third on the team, not too shabby. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.